Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the finale for Season 1 of my team career mode. As it stands, we need to find 10 points or more to jump above AlphaTauri in the Constructors' Championship, finish 8th, and fulfill our sponsor requirements. I believe a draw, so 10 points, will be enough on countback because we had that 4th place finish early in the year. That's higher than AlphaTauri, and as you can see, 7.9 million. That's currently what XXY will pay out as a bonus, and that would be a huge kickstart for next year. Quick look at R&D, though. We've actually been able to save a lot of our parts for next season already. This was Brazil, where the rain ruined our race. We didn't get any points. Completely fell off a cliff in the last couple of laps, and the AI had a certainly high level of grip. Nonetheless, though, we're going to try and put that behind us and put in a big performance this weekend. We are going to need to finish 4th or 5th and hope that AlphaTauri get no points in the race. So it's certainly going to be quite challenging, but we're going to give it everything we have because that cash is going to be just so impactful for next year. Help upgrade our facilities, help upgrade everything that we need really going forward. We decided to do the Pirelli Rival event though, just to warm up and get a feel for the track, and this is our final run against Tremblay, and it looks like it's been a very solid run so far. And on the run up to the hairpin at turn 9, we will get the move done, and that will be a gold medal for that event. We jump forward now to qualifying in Abu Dhabi at the Marina circuit, newly updated for this year's game, and certainly a lot more enjoyable to drive in the game as well. And we'll be looking for a stellar qualifying here, anything or less. And then Q3 is going to be a disappointment. So we'll have to see how we go through the hairpin on our first run. A little bit wide, losing a little bit of time through that part of the track, but through the slow speed sections, feeling quite confident. We dialed in the setup quite nicely, and overall the car felt relatively responsive, which was good. Incredibly fresh power units for this weekend as well, so that will reduce our chances of any mechanical faults and ensure that we are at optimal pace as well. First lap's 125.1, good enough in fact for 2nd place, but that would of course drop back down to 12th for our second run, where we're going to find a lot of time through the hairpin as long as we nail it on this occasion. Perhaps as well we can get a better run through this hairpin onto the long back straight. Unfortunately though, it looks like we're actually losing out a little bit on the delta, so we were fast on entry, slow on exit. Nonetheless though, we're talking only a couple milliseconds, so it's not too bad as we fire it into the chicane of 6 and 7. Finding some time there through the braking zone as we increase our confidence over the course of the session. Good exit as well, and critical to get one. Good overtaking position here in the race, and lead up to the hairpin as we fire it in, hugging it a lot more neatly this time, certainly not as wide, and you can see the delta responds nicely. Almost a 6/10 gain as we enter the hotel section, which has been opened up a little bit as the track was adjusted. We can carry more speed and more momentum, and it's less of an awkward section to navigate the car through. As we round the right-hander, a slight lift off of the throttle, down to 4th for the final corner. About a 6/10 improvement. Unfortunately though, on the exit of the curb, which it's quite easy to do, we lost a bit of traction, lost a bit of time, and we'll have to see where we end up in the session as we return to the garage, just to sort of assess the situation and see exactly where that does put us in terms of time. And it's P11, and at this point we need to take a bit of a gamble. Do we go on to a fresh set of tires? I figure that the gap to 16th and below is actually quite large, over half a second, so I should be relatively safe. There's no real need to push the envelope here, because if we do get through to Q2, if we waste that set of tires, that would be quite a disaster, really. So it's all about just playing it smart here. It is, of course, a little bit of a gamble, but as you can see, we retire from the session, and it is still position 11, 8/10 off the leaders. Now into Q2. Position 13 currently. We use a second set of tyres to try and improve that. We need to push into Q3. Sonoda has qualified ahead of us. Perhaps, though, he won't make it through. And Gasly down in position 15. So both AlphaTauri not doing amazingly well here in Q2 currently. And because we've gone for this run so late in the session, perhaps they won't improve. And really, we cannot afford for them to be getting many, if any, points at all in the race. Because it might then be out of our control as to whether or not we can jump above them. Focusing here on the lap though, and currently we are down on the delta, looking to get a good clean exit though. No wheel spin, it's perfect. DRS enabled onto the back straight. A couple of cars up ahead, lap traffic potentially could get in the way, and I think it's Sonoda up ahead in the AlphaTauri, so hopefully he doesn't try and be cheeky here and block us. And he doesn't. Stays to the inside on the exit of the hairpin, so I nod my head and give him a wave as I drive past. The delta though still in the balance, swinging back and forth, a little bit wider for the hotel section, but we gather it up just in time. A 2-second improvement as we fire it into the right-hander. 15, and now for the final corner of 16, it's looking a lot better. And the exit on the curve, oh, a little bit sideways, but we still found time. I think it was about a 6/10 improvement. That's good enough for position 8, which is amazing. Really happy with that result. Now on to Q3, and we are in position 10. The rest of the AI finding quite a bit of pace in this session, understandably so. Whilst we have done some really good developments and upgrades throughout the year, we are still a long, long way off in terms of the performance index to the teams at the top. We're playing with house money in this session. In fact, I probably haven't already done a time, so yeah, I'll be 10th by default, but nonetheless, it probably expected to finish in 10th. Anyway, we'll still give it our best shot though and see exactly where we can end up as the checker flag waves. And that will put an end to the session once we pass the start-finish line. A little bit deep there into the chicane, but we tidy it up on exit. And overall, it's feeling like an okay lap. How committed are we into the hairpin though? Not too bad. We kissed the curb on the inside, and probably one of the more narrow lines we ran through the qualifying session, using the curb on the exit and on the entry to the hotel section. Love that little piece of track. Really have to be committed. Now under the little bridge, using every little piece of road on the exit. I think we tapped the wall. Still though, keeping the car in one piece, and as we round the final corner, not the tidiest of laps, we'll see where it puts us. Position 10 for the race.
It's the final chapter of the season then here at the spectacular Marina circuit. It's a race where the pole sitter failed to finish in 3 of the first 4 events. A front row start here is by no means a guarantee of victory. So we go into battle once more then, as we get underway at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both turn 5 and turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, and Sir Lewis Hamilton. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Bottas, Russell, Mir, Fernando Alonso, and Esteban Ocon. Mick Schumacher, Gasly, Guan Yu Zhou, and Leclerc. They've taken a grid penalty. Albon, Sonoda, Lance Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel. Ricciardo, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Magnussen, Aitken, and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. And it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Here we are then on the grid for the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. Position 8 as a result of penalties starting on the grid as we have a look as to where AlphaTauri are starting. And just to confirm, it is position 12 for Pierre Gasly and Tsunoda. Not even in the top of the standings on that graphic, so I'm not too concerned about him for the moment. So we need to find ground. At least position 5, keep that in mind. Position 4 though would be ideal. Anything less than those two, it could be very, very disastrous. $8 million on the line, 5 red lights were off. Let's see what kind of launch we can get initially. It's a little bit slow, but once we get through the gears, it's not too bad. 3 wide into the first corner. The Alpine of, I believe, Ocon, putting his nose where it probably shouldn't have been, but we get through unscathed, no damage as of yet. Still position 7, so not too bad of a start. Bottas ahead. We know we can probably catch him as he goes side by side with Hamilton. Russell fires it down our inside, but we get a clean exit. A little bit scrappy up ahead from Bottas and Hamilton, who were fighting, and we're going to look to use that to full advantage. Slipstream and overtake. No DRS on the opening lap, but our straight line speed not too bad. Deep under brakes there onto Hamilton, and we get the move done, I think. And yes, we will now for a clean exit. The AI is still scrapping a lot on exit, and that's going to give us a fantastic run onto Verstappen as well. We'll slingshot past him. Perez now trying to get past the duo of Sainz and Norris, former teammates, of course. As we get checked up into the hairpin, Verstappen seizes that as an opportunity. He found grip around the outside, but he mounts the curb and we'll get him back down the inside, perhaps into the hotel section. He locks up the front right. And we still run side by side. He keeps it on the track though. And we're forced to forfeit that position. Hamilton shows the nose, but we dismiss that. And finally now single file at the conclusion of lap 1, and it has been high intensity. We want to find ground, we need to find ground, but if we inflict damage onto the car, it's over. That's $8 million potentially down the drain, which would be a disaster. Verstappen Sainz, they're going to be a lot faster than us. I can only presume Norris as well. Alongside Perez up front. Hamilton behind might be pacey. I would assume he's going to be, especially once DRS comes online. We know the importance of position 5, so we're going to be aggressive on the overtake here. We see Verstappen and Sainz up ahead, side by side on the entry into the chicane. This could be an opportunity perhaps to find some ground. It's an awkward exit for all 3 of us, but it looks like we've gotten a better run again onto Verstappen. He showed great bravery in the hairpin last time, but it looks like he's too far behind to make a move this time. Can we make a move onto Sainz? If we think about it down the inside, but he covers. That forces us really out wide, and Verstappen now back into the picture as we all desperately try and find grip in these heavy cars with a full fuel load. But it is position 4, but I've done a Verstappen myself, locking up into the hotel section. We'll fall for that position again as we move on to lap 5. Verstappen with superior pace has leaped forward of Sainz, and we've kind of found ourselves in a nice position now. Russell behind the Mercedes, finding it tricky to overtake. And us still having decent pace on Sainz, whose soft tyres seem to be wearing quite early on in this Grand Prix. I'm assuming they're wearing if we're able to keep up with him. Of course, with the assistance of overtake and DRS. And now, in this phase of the race, we just need to keep it clean and consistent. And we're also trying to keep an eye in the back of our heads. Our eyes sort of looking over at the minimap every now and again to see where the AlphaTauris are. As Sainz ducks into pit lane, he's going to get those soft tyres off very early on in this race, perhaps going for a 2-stop strategy. In fact, I'm assuming it must be a 2-stop because we go mediums onto hards, and if he's running the hards from lap 6, that would be mightily impressive. That gives us a bit of fresh air, but it also means we lose DRS. So Russell now behind will be very pacey as we head into the hairpin. We cover, but this could be quite the duel. Not the best of exits, but it's good enough to stay ahead in position 4 at least now. Lap 8 now. And the gap is as close as it ever has been. Russell 2/10 behind. He gets a good run heading into the hairpin. Goes down the inside. It was very late and I turned out of it to avoid contact. His exit though poor. Approaching it a little bit too of an acute angle means that we will retain position 4 still. Gapping Bottas as well. So we are in a really nice pocket of air. We go deep though into the chicane. Locking the tyres at low grip. Russell holds it around the outside. And that will transform into the inside line for the next complex of corners. The long run up to turn 9. It's a battle of the late breakers. And we've potentially won out here. No. Russell noses ahead. We'll see if we can maybe sneak it back down the inside into the hotel section. It's scary stuff. 200 kilometers an hour, side by side. But Russell will edge out, and Bottas now back in the fight as we've squabbled a little bit too much, a little bit more than I would have liked. Position 5 again, it should be enough. If AlphaTauri don't score points, we'll draw in the Constructors' Championship and win it out on countback. But maybe a bit of white line fever here. No race driver wants to lose any position anywhere. And if P4 can be a bit more comfortable, then I'd love to be able to continually try and hunt that down. So we'll see whether or not we can stay with Russell here. The gap has only blown out to half a second since he got past us. And that means that on the long run into turn 6, we are going to have overtake, we are going to have DRS. And we can play this strategically. We disable overtake, we're not going to go for Russell here. Instead, we'll leave him vulnerable into the hairpin because we'll once again get DRS. Just a clean exit. Of course, that chicane is very awkward, slightly uphill, a slight bump on exit. But it's clean. We are very close here onto Russell now. Only 2/10. Side by side now, firing down the inside. Quickly down to 5th gear. The switch back though for Russell. We bang tyres a couple of times. I don't want to rejoin on the curb, so instead go to the runoff area. And this is turning into a very intriguing battle between the two of us, neither one wanting to cede position, despite it only being lap 9 of a 29-lap Grand Prix. And I'm sure Bottas behind, as we almost lose the rear end, is very much keeping tabs on this little battle. Medium tyres at this point of the Grand Prix are starting to feel a little worse for wear. But still plenty of grip to attack if we find an opportunity. Perhaps instead of lining Russell up for the second straight, we in fact need to try and get him on the first, compromise his exit there into the hairpin, and then we might be able to retain it. If we find that opportunity, maybe on this lap, that could be what we go for. As we fire it into the hairpin again, the exit quite good, and Russell will be vulnerable. DRS, a little bit of overtake. But I think we're perhaps going to do what we did last time. We're going to conserve the battery, use it on exit, or maybe not. We are going to fire it down the inside. No overtake required. And Russell, unable to cover, goes for the switchback, but his exit not quite good enough. And in fact, we have leaped ahead, and now we'll use our overtake. So in fact, that approach actually much more effective and a lot safer. And that is position 4 on lap 10. And I am starting to get quite nervous at this point because I'm starting to realize this is very possible. Heading into the weekend, I thought it might be impossible. But we can't dwell on it too much. Russell re-attacks. Flies past. Do we think about a move back down the inside? No. We'll just sit behind Russell. This is our in-lap, I believe. We're getting close to our pit stop window anyway. So we have to be careful here. Tyres are worn. They don't have the grip they once did. Now on the run up to the hairpin, Russell, we do find that gap back, but it's not enough for an overtake. We'll just slot him behind. This Mercedes sandwich. Hamilton only a couple of car lengths behind, and Leclerc in the Ferrari in 7th position now. And it's these faster cars behind me that are going to be scary. They are the ones that are going to snatch points away from me in the race if we're not careful. A good run though through the hotel section. Low speed, the car still feeling pretty good. Gaining actually on Russell. We don't pit this lap, so perhaps it's next lap. And there's confirmation, the pit window now open on lap 13. It's a one-stop hard tyre strategy. And I think Russell's struggling with tyre wear a little bit here. He doesn't seem as quick as he once did. Of course, though, if we go for an overtake, we need to do it in a spot that's optimal. We cannot lose time on this in-lap. Otherwise, the likes of Bottas, who I think have gone for an undercut, will gain time and will potentially get in front of us, forcing us to battle once more. So we get DRS, we activate overtake, and we're going to look to get this move done. Russell defends the inside, but the straight way too long. We can stick it heading into the corner. Deep again though, we lock up. We retain the position. However, we have lost time. On exit though, it's relatively clean. And Russell left in our dust. So that it will be, again, position 4 confirmed as we prepare for the pit stop. And we're going to hope that the pit crew can put in yet another clean one. And they do. So, well done by the pit crew. Their final stop of the season, hopefully. As we exit pit lane on these stone cold hard tyres, being careful not to understeer it into the wall. And we see these proximity arrows on the exit to our right. We are going to be racing here on exit. No time to rest and not much time to get the tyres up to temperature. Bottas has jumped in front. Can we try and get him though immediately straight away on the back straight? We will have DRS, but our exit is very poor. These tyres don't feel very good at all. And Gasly, in fact, position 7. Gasly is behind in position 7. Now 8 as Leclerc will pass him. But that is not ideal for us as we enter the chicane. The Ferrari getting very close behind. Fighting his own battle. As we try and get these tyres up to temperature, continue to attack Bottas. But that is the storyline at the moment. Gasly is only 1 position behind. That means that they're going to get too many points for us to jump them in the Constructors' Championship. Until lap 15 though, a DRS train is forming. Bottas and Russell up ahead, start to fight. Bottas going for a move on Russell, the driver that replaced him at Mercedes this season. And Bottas, in fact, I haven't mentioned this yet, but he is retiring. I'm 99% sure he's retiring at the end of the year, but we go 3 wide. We'll hold that thought for a moment. 3 wide, heading in to the hairpin. We're the latest under brakes, and we get the move stuck. Position 4, seemingly out of nowhere. Russell, his hands have been full this race. And yeah, the retiring, the outgoing Bottas will be leaving us at the end of the season. And on the topic of retirements, Ricciardo as well will be leaving. I hope my memory isn't failing me here. I'm 99.99% sure Bottas and Ricciardo are retiring. Of course, they will get confirmation of all that heading in to Season 2 when silly season takes place. Oh no. What has happened there? Heading into the Turn 6 chicane, we have been turned around. Contact has been made and a safety car deployed. We don't receive too much damage though, and we retain position. Let's have a look at the replay. Leclerc, I believe, in the Ferrari behind. This goes too deep and clips our rear wing. Turns us around. He'll have damage. And this is why the safety car was called. Look at that. So much carbon fiber flying behind. That was one of the AlphaTauris, I think Gasly as well. And now onto the restart. This is where things start to get intense. Sonoda, off the back of that, has been able to jump up into position 6. So Gasly dropped, but Sonoda will take his place. Position 4 would be an amazing place considering the performance of this car, but it would be for nothing if Sonoda finishes in 6th. We need though to keep our head down. Yeah, and there's confirmation of Sonoda. Just need to keep our head down, keep focused. There might be a point in the race where we can be strategic. It's unlikely we'll catch the Red Bulls, so perhaps we can try and back Sonoda into the rest of the pack and do a sort of Hamilton-esque move where when he did it in real life at this track to deny Rosberg of the championship. Of course, it didn't work out. And I think it's going to be tricky for us to pull it off as well. So we'll keep pushing for now, and if that option is available later, perhaps we can go for it then. It's George Russell. George Russell is out of the session. He has had a shocking race. And on lap 21, another safety car has been deployed by the FIA. And we'll have a look at the replay now, what took place. So heading into the hairpin, the Haas and the Alpine tangle a little bit. Oh, it's the Williams though. And I think George Russell just had nowhere to go. And we'll see from his point of view on the T-cam. And yeah, whack into the side pod of Alonso. And that's him out of the Grand Prix. His teammate gets involved as well. Jack Aitken, our teammate, also gets involved. Lap 23 though. Tsunoda still in 6th place. And we're going to do everything possible here to continually fight. I think I can improve my restart here. Try and get a better exit onto Verstappen. Try and pass him heading into turn 1. That's the goal. The temperatures of the tires, okay. Norris leads the field. And he kicks it on the exit. Verstappen, not the best of runs. Oh, we make a little bit of contact. We scrape the gearbox. Can we commit though? With overtake, we send it down the inside. We make the move work. That's position 3, but where is Tsunoda? That is what is so important for us in this race. And I can't believe it. Yuki Tsunoda is out of the session. I cannot make this up. On the exit of turn 1, Tsunoda's engine has completely given up. And that means that no one from AlphaTauri is in the top 10 on lap 24. Unbelievable scenes. After the bad luck we got last week in Brazil, we deserve something, and that's exactly what we got. And we're also now on the edge of our first ever podium in Formula 1 as well. But Verstappen's, of course, he's going to be so pacey. So I don't think we're able to keep him behind, and we're not going to battle too hard. We cannot risk contact. We cannot risk a DNF. If Verstappen is going to fly past, well, we'll just have to let him. And on lap 26, on the back straight, his run out of the hairpin is good. We do use overtake, but eventually we will rescind the position. We just lift off the throttle and let him have it. And that's us back down into position 4. The AlphaTauri is nowhere in sight. Gasly's way back. Ricciardo 3 seconds behind as well. I don't catch Verstappen enough for a look here into the hairpin, and I think at this point we just have to wave the white flag a little bit. But I think we're going to do it. It's all about just bringing the car home. And that's exactly what we've done. Lap 29. Ricciardo now 5 seconds behind. And we just have to keep it on the track. I cannot believe the season we've had. We started out, we struggled, multiple DNFs. The sponsors demanded more and more, and we have delivered. Right down to the final race, the final couple of laps. It falls on our lap, we take it. And I can't believe it. The $8 million race, it's worked. Lando Norris takes the checker flag. We go wide. I was so distracted. I was elated. And as across the line, it's position 4. And what a season it has been. I cannot wait to build into more for season 2.
It's been a roller coaster season, but they can go into the winter with their heads held high after an emphatic victory here today. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, staying out of trouble was probably the most important factor here. In a race where half the field weren't classified at the checkered flag, you were able to guarantee a good result by basically keeping the car running. With their pace and a decent strategy as well, I don't think the race was ever really in doubt.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track. Well, after an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Daniel Ricciardo certainly impressed me today, an incredible performance.
So then, Ferrari have now moved out of sight and out of reach. It's another triumph for the Italian team as they claim the World Constructors' Championship. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.